two individuals.
My question is a little bit different. Why should this not be decided by judges but decided by legislatures?
Because the question is, in order to treat them as an equal protection violation, we have to assume that the groups are similarly situated. That then requires that I answer a question that the Constitution does not answer. Which view of marriage are we going to have? This adult-centric consent view or the long-standing conjugal view? That question is not answered in the Constitution, and only if you answer that question on the former is it a violation of equal protection. And who decides that question, I think, is the real critical one.
Kenji Yoshino.
Yeah, I'm a little puzzled by that characterization, because to me it sounds like if we were debating this back in 1966, on the year before Loving versus Virginia, it would be like saying, oh, well, there are two views of marriage on the table. One view says that, God put the 5 races, this is actual quotation from a trial court judge, on 5 different continents, but for a violation of his will, the races would not have mixed. Right, so I think the hidden irony of this is that if we were to take that trial court judge at his word, Europeans would all have to go back to Europe, or Caucasians would have to go back to Europe, and I would have to go back to Asia, and so on and so forth. So I think he had unintended consequences there. But the view is, are we going to choose the vision of marriage that allows for bans on interracial marriage, or are we going to choose the more inclusive definition of marriage that allows interracial couples access to this existing right? And to me, that's what he's saying, and I do think that the Equal Protection Clause has an answer to that. So I don't think that there's one vision of marriage that the Equal Protection Clause is impermeable to, and another vision of marriage to which it speaks. I think that the Equal Protection Clause speaks to the definition of marriage that we have, right? And just to make a final point here, I haven't heard anything yet about adoptive parents or about sterile couples or about couples who use assisted reproductive technology who are heterosexual. So, if a 70-year-old and an 80-year-old want to get married, right, why should we allow them to marry under your vision? If procreation is so central to the definition of marriage, why would we allow individuals who could not procreate and were demonstratively unable to procreate or unwilling to procreate if they chose not to procreate when we're younger?
Do you want to take a Sherif?
I do, yes.
Sure,
So there are a couple points in there. So first of all, the interracial marriage thing is a red herring. Do you know where the first place in the world that interracial marriage first came up? It was in the colonial United States. Nancy Cott says this. Why? Because that was a regime of slavery. It was clearly meant. You look at the history, it's impossible to conclude that it was about anything but oppressing the races. To believe that there's an analogy here, you would have to believe that biological parenting, thinking that that matters, is on a par with thinking that your skin color matters. And Justice Sotomayor herself has written in a recent case, it's a principle recognized in our cases that the biological bond between a parent and child is meaningful. She would never say the same thing about racial purity, which is the language of these laws. Second thing, on the idea that this isn't something new, here's a quote. Enlarging the concept to embrace same-sex couples would necessarily transform the institution into something new.